Hi! Hey guys, what's up? My name is Dom. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I typically make bookish content, movie content, and anything else in between because I like to do whatever I want on this channel, and tonight's going to be bookish content. In this video, we're going to talk about my August wrap-up and my September TBR. In the month of August, I only read 3 books. I know. But I just had a lot going on. I started a new job in August, and it's been a month, and I'm still trying to get used to the schedule because it's a really weird schedule. And the shifts are 12 hours long, so the moment I get home, if I'm off the next day, the moment I get home, I just want to lay down and go to bed. When I work the next day, from the time I get home to the time I have to go to bed in order to get a decent amount of sleep, I only have 30 minutes to do what I want to do, and then I have 10 minutes to get my ass to bed. So I'm trying to learn how to be more productive with my own time. It's going to take a while, but I read when I can. Then for my September TBR, that just depends on what the hell's going on. I have some ideas, and let's just get into it. So the first book I read in August was my audiobook. I've been listening to one audiobook a month this year, and I've been focusing on nonfiction, and that is Anne Frank Remembered by Miep Geese. I think someone helped her write this. Let me check really quick. So the full title is Anne Frank Remembered, the story of the woman who helped to hide the Frank family. It's by Miep Geese, and Allison Leslie Gold helped her write it. It's Miep Geese's story. If you don't know who Miep Geese is, she is the woman that helped Anne Frank's family hide. It was a good read. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And like a lot of it because I am very familiar with Anne Frank's story. I read her diary. I had to read a play in school. I've seen some of the movie adaptations. I've been to her annex when I went to Amsterdam 2 years ago. So a lot of what she said about Anne Frank wasn't anything new. The only new stuff that I found very interesting was her own life. Because again, you got to read from like her point of view. So we learned things that the Frank family didn't even know about because she said like, I didn't tell the Frank family this because I didn't want them to worry. For example, not only was she hiding the Frank family, but she was hiding someone else in her own home. This person wasn't Jewish, they were just a student that was protesting against the Nazi party. He got in trouble, so he agreed to help hide him. And then her and her husband would help hide other Jews as well. Like the Frank family wasn't, like the Frank family was her priority. They were the family that she would buy food for, bring work to do, but for other Jews, she would set them up in other homes. Then those homes became responsible for those people, but she was still a part of that. Her husband joined the resistance, which I had no idea about. So just stuff like that, we got to learn more about her life. I learned, because I always knew she was from Vienna, Austria, but I never knew why she came or she went to the Netherlands. She told that story. She was always in contact with her biological family, which I never knew. We got to see her reaction to finding out most of the Franks and the Van Pelts and what's his face, Mr. Pfeiffer, I think his name was. We got to see from her point of view what it was like knowing they weren't coming back. And something I did find interesting too, because if you read Anne Frank's diary, she does change names, and Miep Geese used those names for this book just to like kind of keep the like documents as one. And it was a good conclusion because she talked about how she outlived everyone. She lived to 100 and something years old. Like she died just fairly recently, actually. It was interesting, and the only reason I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars is because the writing style itself was very I don't even know what the word I'm looking for. I want to say plain, but that's like not the word I'm looking for. I've read better written autobiographies, which is what this essentially is, despite getting help. The 3.5 stars is because as much as I enjoyed the story itself, the writing, like the technique was still like it was fine, it just wasn't great. The next book I read is The Girl Who Slept with God by Val Berlinski, and whoa boy, this book was a ride. I don't even know where to begin when it comes to my thoughts, so let's just jump into the synopsis. But this takes place in the 1970s, and it centers around an evangelical Christian family. Our main character is Jory, who is 14 years old. She has an older sister named Grace, who is 17. Grace goes on this mission trip, comes home pregnant, and again, she's 17, and swears up and down that the father is literally the Lord himself. She swears that the child is literally the child of God. And therefore, because it's the 70s, and this was unfortunately normal for the time, and I would not be surprised if it was still normal today, the father sends Jory and Grace away to live on their own. Oh god, where do I even begin? I had a lot of thoughts when it came to this book. Let me go to my Goodreads. I kind of outlined my point of view in my review there. So first of all, the book is advertised, like the beginning of the book is advertised to be about this perfect family. Personally, I thought the family was anything but perfect. I just thought they were incredibly judgmental. It was obvious our main character, she believes in God, but not to the extent her family does. Personally, I thought that was kind of the point, that you weren't supposed to see them as perfect. But then when I was reading reviews, other people like were saying like, no, like the author's intention was for you to see them as perfect in the beginning. So maybe this is just my own like personal biases coming into play, because some of the shit that came out of Grace's mouth, like, absolutely not. There's a lot of things about this book, which is the reason I don't recommend this to anyone, to everyone, to anyone, to everyone, like, okay. Like, I just can't recommend this book to anyone, because there's a lot of things in this book that are offensive. Like, hear me out here, like, hold that thought. The characterization of this book was just so well done, and that's why I'm saying there's so many things that were offensive. Because some of the things that came out of Grace's mouth and her father's mouth, like, truly enraged me. But then, like, if you think about it, like, the things in this book are supposed to offend you, because the book is a coming-of-age story. It's Jory being 14, grew up extremely sheltered. Like, she wasn't allowed to watch TV, she wasn't allowed to go to school dances, she went to this private school, which does not mean someone's sheltered if they go to a private school, but it's like her private school specifically was just so different from the public schools. Being a sheltered girl and being, just Grace being sheltered as well, they're gonna say things that enrage you. Like, for example, at one point Grace said, like, her neighbors are Jewish, and because they are Jewish, they are going to hell. She said, unfortunately they are. We can't do anything about that unless they convert. Like, that should make you angry. I know if I was Jewish, I wouldn't want to read that. As a Catholic, they said some things about Catholics in this book that, you know, upset me, because that's, you know, the religion I was raised in. I don't want people to, like, talk shit about, like, my group of people, you know? But, like, you're supposed to be, so despite, like, what am I trying to say? Like, those things are offensive, but they're supposed to be offensive. Like, you're supposed to be mad. Because it's not like our main character Jory agrees with these things, because you actually, like, read her thought process. Like, I mean, and she herself said some iffy things too, but then you read about the backlash they get, and you read about their thought processes, especially Jory, about why those things maybe aren't correct. So that's why I'm saying they're supposed to offend you. Which I hope that explanation makes sense. What else did I say? Just the things that would happen, like, despite being so angry, I found the reading experience to be incredibly enthralling because of that. Never has a book made me physically react the way this one did. I would get physically angry, like, I would, like, want to throw because I was reading it on my phone, I would want to throw my phone across the room. Some things did make me literally laugh out loud, some things made me groan. I know at one point I had to, like, shut my phone off, turn onto my back, and, like, scream at the ceiling because I was so frustrated with what was going on. And honestly, I think that is a testament to how well written it is. Like, I've never had a book make me react like that. I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars because despite how angry I would get at times, again, I said it was an enthralling experience. I do like how close it was to the time period because it takes place in the 70s. And with the 70s comes things that are out of date today. So yeah, Jory would say things that aren't acceptable now. But, like, given the context of when she said it and, like, just given the time period, I thought that was a good way to, like, throw us into the 70s. And again, she's a sheltered girl. She's not going to say things that are acceptable. She's going to say things, she's going to pull things out of her ass, and everyone else is going to look at her like, what the fuck's going on? Which is what happened. And, like, that's how you know the author's trying to teach their character a lesson. But I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, not 5 out of 5, because the ending was unfortunately off-putting. I think the author was going for, like, redemption and forgiveness, but I just could not agree. So this book is only 369 pages, and personally I think it suffered from being too short. I do think it needed to be longer, because there's something that happens near the end. Jory needed to grieve, and I just don't think she was given enough time to grieve that, and we just didn't see it, because what should have been a grieving process, the author had a huge time skip, and I was like, what the fuck happened? Like, I didn't get to see what I wanted to see from Jory, which is maybe one of the reasons I don't agree with her choices at the end. So yeah, her grief just wasn't explored for as long as it should have been, because what happened was just a huge deal. I definitely wasn't expecting it. I literally, like, gasped and screamed when it happened. Again, physically reacting. I just couldn't forgive, which may be because I'm just an angrier, more vindictive person than Jory is, but, like, maybe I just didn't get the point. I don't know. Plus, Jory's friends were kind of dropped off the face of the earth. They had to be, given the circumstances, they had to be, but I still wanted to know more about them. Like, she just never mentioned them. Like, there was something set up between one friend and then Jory's, like, grown-ass man friend. That never got explained. So again, I wasn't a huge fan of the ending. I was reading reviews. I'm definitely not alone in this. A lot of people on Goodreads did not like the end. But yeah. So it's like a 5 out of 5 star book for the enthralling, entertaining experience, but 4 out of 5 when I look at it through a more critical eye. Alright, and then the last book I read in August was Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. If you're new to this channel, I have been rereading a book I had to read for school every month. So January was 1st grade, February was 2nd, etc., etc. August is the 8th month of the year, so I reread a book I had to read in 8th grade. I didn't physically read this, I actually listened to this on audiobook just because it was faster. And all I can say is, it is actually difficult to follow along a William Shakespeare play if you listen to it on audiobook, because I just didn't know. Like, after a while I got used to it, but in that like first 30 minutes was like, I had no idea who was speaking when until I got used to their voices. Like, after a while I would recognize Juliet, I recognized Romeo, I'd recognize the nurse, etc. But in the beginning it was like overwhelming. I liked it in 8th grade but didn't enjoy it, and like now, however, it's been oh my god, I graduated 8th grade 10 years ago. Holy fuck. But as a 24-year-old, I liked it, but didn't enjoy it to the extent. So it was a 3 out of 5 star read when I read it 10 years ago, and it's a 3 out of 5 star read now. So that was my August wrap up. I'm just going to talk about what I'm currently reading, because I'm currently in the middle of 2 books, one of which I started however long ago. That is Under the Dome by Stephen King. If you don't know what this is about a little town called Chester's Mill in Maine. One day they are surrounded by a dome. This is my big book of the year. I am on page 402, so I got about 600, a little over 600 pages to go. And the other book, I'm filming this in September, and I started reading this in September. Technically audiobook, but it's called A Terrible Typhoid Mary by Susan Campbell Bartoletti, I think her name is. It's a nonfiction book about Typhoid Mary. She's basically the person America used to talk about like healthy disease carriers. And according to the book, like this concept was introduced in other countries like way before, but like America, she was like the first American case. She was a healthy human being, but she was a carrier for typhoid, so despite never being sick, she would get others sick. And it's like and a lot of people have been bringing her up recently during the pandemic, what it means to be, you know, a healthy carrier. So why not read it during a pandemic? For my September TBR, I only have 4 books on the radar, technically 5 because I do want to finish Under the Dome here before the Halloween season. So one book I want to get through is the last ever volume of Tokyo Ghoul. I meant to read it last month, but time just escaped me. And I'm also kind of pushing this off because I'm scared for the series to end. Like, I don't want it to end. I've been reading it since like May, June of 2020. And what am I going to do with my life when it's over? Then for the month of September, that means I'm going to read a book from 9th grade or freshman year of high school. And I have chosen The True Life of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie, which is an autobiography of his time growing up in a reservation. I guess I got 6 books on my radar because I just picked up a book I forgot about, but that is Crank by Ellen Hopkins. This is another library read when I picked up Under the Dome. It's about drugs, and it's a poem book. It's like the same concept as Go Ask Alice. Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. This is about a guy who is living in an opera house, and there's a woman whose voice is beautiful, and he's in love with her. It's what the famous musical is based off of. I want to react to the silent movie this Halloween season, and I really want to read the book first. With Under the Dome and just my schedule, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm going to try to make this a priority. Then the last book on this list is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And again, it's because I want to react to Alfred Hitchcock's Rebecca, so I thought I would read the book first. I was thinking about it. I don't know if that would happen because someone informed me that Alfred Hitchcock tends to change things when he does book-to-movie adaptations, because he did The Birds, which I did not like, but he did The Birds, and the same author wrote The Birds, and she apparently does not like that movie adaptation because he changed so much. So I'm debating just watching Rebecca, not having read the book. Haven't decided yet. We'll see how September pans out, but that's why I'm actually going to prioritize the Phantom of the Opera over Rebecca. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below what you guys read and what you plan to read. And if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. And without further ado, I'm gonna peace out and I'll see you guys later. Ciao tutti!